What's going on, guys? Quick video today. It's like 2 a.m. over here in Dubai. What I want to talk about is something that we all do subconsciously, especially the Southeast Asians, the Indians. If it's not so clear, I am very Indian. I don't need to speak in Indian accent to prove it to you, but I am very Indian, and I always will be. But something that we all do subconsciously, right, is that we demonize other people's wealth. If we see someone in a nice car, or if we see someone with a nice house, our immediate assumption isn't that, oh, this guy worked harder than me, or this guy tried something smarter than me, or he took more risks than I did. Oh, either you got lucky or he's doing some shady shit. There is no in between. And, well and good, you're entitled to believe whatever you want. As the phrase goes, you're entitled to your own opinion. But that opinion doesn't serve you at all. If anything, that opinion hurts you a lot more than you realize. Because then when you see a rich person, your immediate assumption isn't that this guy outworked me, or he outsmarted me, or he took more risks than I did, or he just did better overall, right? It is either that he got lucky and it was, it's inherited, or he's doing some shady shit, right? Now, I don't have the inheritance. I'm not talking about myself, but, I'm just talking about a normal person. I don't have this inheritance. And I don't want to do something shady, so I can never be rich, so I should just go back to my 9 to 5, or I should just go back to the office, I should do this or that, right? We never have any positive assumptions anymore, which is so fucked up. We got to look at these rich motherfuckers, and our first thought should be, this guy's doing something right. Now, wealth as an equation, or any sort of success as an equation, is very complicated, very difficult. I personally haven't understood it completely, but I'm on my path. But I've understood that's boiled down essentially to a few factors, right? When you see someone wealthier than you, right, and your immediate assumption isn't a negative one, it isn't that, oh, he's doing something shady, or, there's something up here, or he got lucky, or this or that, right? You can boil it down to the fact that either he's taking more risk than you, right, or he's smarter than you, or he's harder working than you. But all of these things you can do better. I mean, maybe you cannot be smarter than someone, right? But you know what? You can work harder than them. And way more importantly, motherfucker, you can work longer than them. If this dude who drives a Bentley, right, works for 9 hours a day, you can work for 16 hours a day. Have you ever pulled a 16-hour day? Do you even know how it feels, right? I've pulled 16-hour days. I've pulled 16-hour days doing all sorts of things, right? Way back in the days when I was in Canada, I used to work 16 hours a day for a good portion of my life, right? Where I would go in the morning to the suit shop where I was an assistant manager, right? And then immediately after, I take a bus, because I was a fucking peasant, right? I take a bus to the hotel where I worked to go fucking serve some food to these white guests. I don't have anything against white people. I'm just exaggerating, right? But I would serve food to them in a banquet, right? And I'd finish up work at, so say I started like 9 a.m., right? I'd finish at the suit shop by around 5. I'd start work at the Holiday Inn around 6:30 or 7, right? 7, and I would go back by around 2:30 or 3, right? And then maybe the next day I'll start work at the suit shop at 11, right? So 2:30 or 3, I don't know, how long is that? 7, 5, 3, that's 8 hours. Yeah, so that's 16 hours total, and I get a lunch break at the suit shop, and at Holiday Inn sometimes I get to eat. So 16 hours of work, right? Like half an hour of lunch break in the day, and then, about another half an hour for like food in the middle, right? I've done that. I worked for a very long time, 14-hour days, on my own businesses, right? I used to work in an agri-tech company while studying in college. I would drive to the office at 9 in the morning, or sometimes 5 in the fucking morning, because I worked in the middle of a fucking farm. And sometimes we had to harvest early, so I needed to be there early, right? 5 in the morning, let's say, okay, not an average day, but 9 in the morning, right? I show up, I finish by like 3:30 or 4. I rush to my college, right? I do whatever class I have, then I finish my homework, and then in the night I work on my business, right? You could just work longer, right? I mean, it's so straightforward, right? You can just work fucking longer, and you can still find time to do shit for yourself. You can go to the gym, you can cook some food, or you can order some food. You can do whatever you want, right? But my point is, the point of this entire video is that you have to stop demonizing success, right? You can't look at someone who's successful and immediately, if you catch yourself, look at someone who's successful and your immediate assumption is a negative one, slap on the wrist immediately, because that is fulfilling and feeding into your negative self-beliefs, right? wherein it's more like, oh, you know, it's not that this guy's working harder than me, or it's not that this guy's taking more risk. He's just unethical, right? He's just doing something wrong. Because you don't realize it, it's very subconscious, right? It's very subconscious, and you don't, like, I didn't realize it myself until I actually got started and built something myself, and I realized that, you know what, these guys aren't up to some rocket science or anything like that. I mean, I'm not making anywhere near the money that some of the people that I look up to are, but it's not rocket science, right? They're just outdoing me in every way possible. They're outworking me, they're outsmarting me, they're working longer, they have a better team, they have more people working for them, they got more fucking money to deploy in the market, right? I got none of that. But there are a few controllables which will separate me, and when I say me, I'm talking about you who's listening to this, will separate you from everyone else, because people are just too afraid to try. People just dismiss success so quickly that, you know what, I can't do this, so it's not even good to try, right? It's very, very doable, especially if you get started and if you just work hard for a long enough time, right? And when I say work longer, I don't just mean work longer in the day, I also mean over the years, right? You can, if some guy's been working for 5 years, right, and he's quit because he hasn't found success, you can work for 15 years. It's all about your patience, right? You work for 15 years, 14 years of just getting fucking whacked in the ass, right? That, oh, no, it's not working, it's not working. And then 15th year, you fucking sell your company, or you do some shit, or you take a big, fat, solid, multi-million-dollar exit. So, my point is, I'm very hyped up because I just pulled 270 kgs off the ground. Feel pretty good about myself. Work is very overwhelming right now, but it's awesome. I fucking love it, right? My life in general at the moment is extremely overwhelming, right? I got all sorts of issues. But, right, I felt like I had to give this message. I had to put this out there, right? You got to stop demonizing wealth, right? When I look at a nice car drive by, right, I look at it obviously because I love cars, right? But my first question or my first thought isn't that this guy is doing something shady or he's up to something. He's fucking doing it, right? No. My first thought is that this guy is doing something better than I am in some way or the other, and I don't know what it is, and it's pissing me the fuck off, right? I don't know what the fuck he's figured out that I don't know, right? But I gotta figure this out, right? Or, you know, maybe he's just worked for longer. You know, I notice, right, with myself, and this is perhaps a bad thing. I look at older people, like people way older than I am, like someone in their 60s with a lot of wealth, and I get pissed off and I start competing with them. I'm like, I gotta be richer than this dude, right? I'm 22 years old. So perhaps I could do with a little bit more patience, so I stop hating myself as much. But so far, it's served me pretty good. You know, I compete with people way out of my league, and somehow, you know, God has blessed me, and I get, you know, I mean, it's not so bad. So stop demonizing success, right? You see someone successful, your first thought should be that this guy's probably doing something that you want, and that something is probably right, and that something has led him to do this. Now, obviously, there's exceptions. There's people up to shady shit. There's people who got lucky. There's people who inherited their wealth. But what's the point in thinking that way, right? That shouldn't be your default. That is an exception. The exception, the word exception, the definition of it is something that isn't ordinary, right? The ordinary thing is that these motherfuckers have just outworked you. These guys have just outsmarted you. These guys have just worked for longer. These guys have done something right which you're not willing to do. That should be your norm, right? Now the exceptions, who cares? Who cares? You know, good for them. You know, good for them. They'll never know what's like. That's my little 2 cents, right? Have fun. Keep working hard.